The rap world is in shock tonight. Jim Jones, handcuffed in the middle of Manhattan, taken down in a lightning-fast FBI sting. But this isn't just an arrest. This is the moment months of secret surveillance explode into the public eye, with hidden tapes threatening to destroy everything he's built. The streets are buzzing, social media is on fire, and the hip-hop community is in absolute shock tonight. Jim Jones, a name etched deep into the legacy of rap culture, has just been taken into custody in what sources are calling one of the most calculated FBI stings in recent memory. This isn't some random arrest for a minor charge, this is big. According to early reports, the FBI has been building a case for months, working quietly behind the scenes, and now they've got the tapes, the evidence, and what they claim is undeniable proof of Jim Jones being involved in secret, highly questionable deals. But how deep does this go? And who else could be involved? Witnesses describe the arrest as swift, almost cinematic. Jim had just stepped out of a black SUV outside a recording studio in Manhattan when unmarked vehicles closed in from both ends of the street. Agents in tactical gear poured out, weapons drawn, shouting commands. The world watched in disbelief as the Harlem legend was handcuffed, searched, and placed into the back of an FBI van. Within minutes, clips of the arrest flooded Instagram, TikTok, and X, sending fans and haters alike into a frenzy. But this isn't just about an arrest, this is about what came after. Moments later, an anonymous leak began circulating online. Grainy audio recordings allegedly capturing Jim Jones in backroom meetings, discussing deals that had nothing to do with music and everything to do with money, power, and influence. Deals so secret, so risky, that even veteran insiders in the industry are saying they've never heard anything like it. The tapes, according to one source close to the investigation, were obtained through months of wiretaps, undercover operatives, and hidden microphones planted in places Jim thought were safe. We're talking about private studios, exclusive VIP lounges, and even inside luxury SUVs. The FBI was listening the entire time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when they did, they made sure the whole world was watching. Fans are divided. Some are screaming that Jim is being targeted because of his success and his outspoken nature, while others are convinced this is just the tip of the iceberg. They don't move in unless they have you dead to rights. One ex-law enforcement insider told reporters, "If the FBI is making an arrest of this public, you can bet they've got more than enough evidence to secure a conviction." There's more rumors are swirling that the sting wasn't just about Jim. Multiple sources are hinting that this operation could expose a much larger network, involving other high-profile figures in the music industry, business moguls, and even political connections. If true, this case could become one of the most explosive scandals hip-hop has ever seen. As the news broke, other celebrities began weighing in. Some offered words of support, posting old photos and praising Jim's contributions to the culture. Others, however, used the moment to throw subtle jabs, referencing past feuds and controversies. One former collaborator even posted a cryptic message: "The game always catches up with you." Inside the FBI's New York field office, the mood is said to be tense but confident. They've got a mountain of evidence, financial records, surveillance footage, and those damning tapes. It's clear they've been waiting for the perfect storm. And now, with Jim in custody, the stage is set for a legal battle that could drag on for years. The big question: will Jim fight this all the way in court, or will he cut a deal to save himself? In the coming hours, we expect more details to emerge. But one thing is certain: this isn't the kind of story that disappears quietly. This is a high-profile takedown with layers of betrayal, power plays, and money trails that could stretch far beyond Harlem. For now, Jim Jones sits behind bars, his legal team scrambling, the world watching every move. And as the first night of his arrest settles in, the hip-hop community is left asking, if these tapes are real, What do they reveal? And how much more is still hidden in the shadows? The hours after Jim Jones' arrest have been nothing short of chaos, both on the streets and online. The footage of him being escorted into the FBI's New York field office has already been replayed millions of times, dissected frame by fans, bloggers, and conspiracy theorists alike. But while the internet debates, the real action is unfolding behind closed doors, where federal agents are poring over years' worth of surveillance, phone intercepts, and financial documents that they claim tie Jim to a string of secret off-the-books deals. These aren't the kind of shady moves that get swept under the rug. These are transactions involving shell companies, offshore accounts, and meetings with figures whose names haven't yet been released to the public. And the most chilling part? The FBI believes they have him on tape, discussing every detail. Sources familiar with the tapes describe them as career-ending and politically dangerous. One source, speaking under condition of anonymity, claimed that at least one conversation took place inside a private jet, where Jim can allegedly be heard talking about moving large sums of money through third-party intermediaries using code, words that agents believe were meant to disguise the true nature of the deals. In another recording, reportedly captured inside a dimly lit back room of a high-end nightclub, Jim's voice is heard laughing as he speaks about making people disappear from certain business ventures. Whether this was bravado, metaphor, or something far more sinister, the FBI isn't treating it lightly. Outside the courthouse, the atmosphere is electric. Reporters shout questions over one another, photographers jostle for position, and a growing crowd of fans and onlookers chants his name. Some are here to show support, holding up signs that read "Free Jim Jones" and "This is a setup." Others, however, seem to relish the fall of a man they believe has been skating past consequences for years. He thought he was untouchable, one bystander muttered into a news camera, but the FBI doesn't play games. Meanwhile, whispers from inside the bureau suggest that Jim's arrest is just the opening shot. This sting, dubbed Operation Echo, has been in motion for over a year, and insiders hint that other big names could be next. If that's true, then Jim Jones' case may be only one chapter in a much larger scandal that could shake not only the music industry but also the political and business spheres connected to it. Already there are reports of federal subpoenas being issued to individuals linked to Jim's inner circle. Bank records, real estate transactions, and even cryptocurrency wallets are being combed through with forensic precision. In the midst of all this, Jim's legal team has gone on the offensive. His lead attorney, a high-profile defense lawyer known for taking on impossible cases, addressed the media late in the evening. "My client maintains his complete innocence," he declared, standing before a wall of microphones. "These allegations are built on misinterpretations and unverified leaks. We will fight this case in court, not in the press." The statement was strong, but as reporters pressed for answers about the tapes, the attorney refused to comment. That silence has only fueled speculation about just how damaging the recordings might be. Back in the digital world, hip-hop gossip blogs are in overdrive. Some claim the FBI's investigation was triggered by a falling out between Jim and a former associate, someone who knew enough to tip off the feds and provide them with an entry point into his operations. Others believe the Bureau was already watching him and simply waited for the right moment to make their move. Either way, the narrative is spiraling into something much bigger than a simple criminal charge. This is becoming a cultural event, with every meme, every live stream, and every speculative tweet adding fuel to the fire. Perhaps the most disturbing revelation so far is that the tapes don't just capture Jim talking about secret deals. They allegedly include the voices of Tate, others, some of whom may be recognizable to anyone familiar with the hip-hop world. If those names go public, it could ignite an avalanche of arrests and lawsuits. People are already drawing connections, combing through old photos, social media interactions, and past collaborations to guess who else might be implicated. Inside his holding cell, Jim's world has shrunk to four walls and the deafening hum of uncertainty. He's been through public controversy before, beefs, lawsuits, street rumors, but nothing like this. Federal cases are a different beast, especially when they come armed with months of undercover work and damning audio. Every move he makes now will be calculated, every word scrutinized, every possible ally questioned for loyalty. His family has stayed silent so far, but friends close to them say the shock is real. They didn't see this coming, one insider said. They knew there were rumors, but no one thought it was serious enough for the FBI to get involved. Now it's like the ground just dropped out from under them. The impact on his career is already visible. Upcoming shows have been postponed. Brand deals put on hold. And one streaming platform quietly removed promotional banners for his latest project. Still, it's a strange tension in the air, as if everyone is holding their breath, waiting for the next shoe to drop. Well, the FBI released the tapes to the public. Will other names start surfacing in the coming days? Or will Jim's legal team find a way to suppress the evidence and turn the narrative in his favor? For now, all anyone can do is speculate. But one thing's for sure, the world is watching. And whatever happens next could either seal Jim Jones' fate or catapult him into a redemption story unlike anything hip-hop has seen. And yet, for all the noise and speculation, the heart of this case lies in those recordings, hours of conversations that could hold the answers to every question swirling around tonight. Somewhere in an FBI evidence locker, the truth sits on a hard drive, waiting for the moment it will either be played in a courtroom or leaked to the public. When that moment comes, it won't just be Jim Jones on trial. It could be an entire network of power, influence, and corruption exposed for the world to see. By the next morning, the Jim Jones case had escalated from a shocking headline to an all-consuming media storm. News vans were parked outside the federal courthouse. Helicopters hovered over downtown Manhattan. And every major outlet had a breaking news banner plastered across their broadcasts. The footage of Jim being led into court, head down, wrist shackled, played on a loop as anchors repeated the same burning question. What exactly is on those tapes, and how much damage could they do? Inside the courthouse, security was tight. Only a handful of reporters were allowed into the arraignment room. And what they witnessed has already become the stuff of internet legend. Jim, dressed in a dark suit but still wearing the defiant expression that's carried him through decades in the rap game, stood before the judge as prosecutors laid out the first wave of charges: conspiracy to commit fraud, money laundering, and participation in a covert network of illegal transactions. But the most chilling detail came when the lead prosecutor mentioned audio recordings obtained through court-approved surveillance, describing them as critical to understanding the defendant's full involvement. Whispers rippled through the room. Even without hearing the tapes, the prosecution's confidence was unmistakable. They weren't here to build a case. They were here to deliver a knockout blow. Jim's defense attorney countered aggressively, arguing that the so-called evidence was taken out of context, that private conversations had been twisted to fit a narrative, and that the leaks to the press were an attempt to poison public opinion before the trial even began. The judge, stone-faced, listened to both sides before ordering Jim held without bail, pending a formal hearing. Citing the seriousness of the charges and the potential risk of evidence tampering, the decision sent shockwaves through the hallway. Outside, the crowd erupted, some booing in outrage, others cheering as if they'd just seen justice served. The arrest had already split the hip-hop community in two, but now the divide was widening into an open rift. Prominent artists took to Instagram Live to defend Jim, calling the charges a targeted hit against a man who had done nothing but uplift his people. Others, however, began distancing themselves, quietly deleting old photos, unfollowing his accounts, and issuing vague statements about letting the legal process run its course. The FBI, meanwhile, made its next move. Late in the afternoon, federal agents executed a series of search warrants at locations tied to Jim's associates. Luxury condos, recording studios, and even a warehouse in New Jersey were raided, with boxes of documents, hard drives, and cash-filled duffel bags seized as evidence, though no official statement was released. Law enforcement sources hinted that these raids were directly connected to the information obtained in the tapes. The picture was becoming clearer. This wasn't just about one man, was about dismantling an entire operation. Rumors swirled that the tapes contained not just coded business talk, but also direct references to individuals who were now under active investigation. One unverified claim suggested that a sitting politician's name was mentioned in connection with offshore accounts, while another alleged that a rival artist was implicated in facilitating certain transactions. Whether these rumors were true or the product of online speculation, they fueled the frenzy to an almost unbearable pitch. Through it all, Jim remained silent. No statements, no interviews, no fiery social media posts, just a single nod to his fans as he was led back to the holding area. For a man known for his bravado, the silence was deafening. Some saw it as a strategic move, letting his lawyers control the narrative. Others feared it was the quiet of a man who knew the walls were closing in. That night, the hip-hop world lit up with debates, live-streamed breakdowns, and impromptu clubhouse sessions where industry insiders traded theories like currency. One veteran producer claimed he'd heard a snippet of the tapes months ago and warned Jim to lay low. Another insisted the FBI had been after him for years and had finally gotten their break. Through an informant embedded deep within his circle, the informant theory caught fire, with fans scouring old photos and videos for anyone who might fit the profile of a double agent. In the days that followed, the case only grew in scope. The prosecution announced that they would be adding more charges, citing newly uncovered evidence from the raids. Jim's team filed motions to suppress the tapes, arguing that some of the recordings were obtained without proper warrants. Legal analysts debated the merits of the claim, but most agreed that if the tapes were admissible, they could be devastating. Behind the scenes, negotiations may have already begun. According to a source close to the investigation, federal prosecutors sometimes offer reduced sentences in exchange for cooperation, but whether Jim would even consider such a deal is anyone's guess. In the world he comes from, cooperating with authorities carries a stigma that can end careers and lives. Yet, the alternative, facing decades in federal prison, looms. Over every decision, the cultural impact of the arrest is undeniable. For years, Jim Jones had been a fixture in music, fashion, and even activism. His image was one of resilience, a man who had navigated the streets and the industry without ever bowing to outside pressure. But now, that image is fractured. Every news segment, every gossip post, every whispered conversation chips away at the legacy he's built. And while some fans hold fast to the belief that he's innocent, others are already rewriting his story in their minds, seeing him less as a hero and more as a cautionary tale. As the first week after his arrest comes to a close, the spotlight shows no sign of fading. More subpoenas are being issued, more raids are being planned, and somewhere in the bowels of the FBI's evidence department, agents are meticulously cataloging the contents of those tapes. Every word, every pause, every background noise is being analyzed for meaning. The public may not hear them yet, but in time, they will. And when they do, the fallout could be catastrophic. For now, Jim Jones remains in federal custody. A man caught between the power he once wielded and the crushing weight of the system now bearing down on him. The city that once celebrated his rise is now watching, waiting to see if this is truly the end or if, against all odds, he finds a way to flip the script. Either way, one thing is certain: the story is far from over. And the tapes that started it all may just be the key to unlocking a scandal that will be talked about for years. To come, this story is just the beginning. What we've uncovered. So, Far about Jim Jones' arrest and the explosive FBI sting is only scratching the surface. The tapes, the raids, the whispers of bigger names and deeper networks, this is a storm that's still gathering strength. And when the next wave hits, it could change everything we thought we knew about power, loyalty, and survival in the world of hip-hop. If you've been following every twist and turn, you know this case is moving fast and the truth could drop at any moment. So, stay locked in, because the moment those tapes see the light of day, the fallout will be unlike anything we've ever seen before. Don't just watch from the sidelines, be part of the conversation. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Jim Jones is being targeted, or is this the reckoning he's been running from? And if those secret deals are real, who else do you think might be caught in the crossfire? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications and be ready, because the next chapter in this story could break at any second.